How do we create sustainable change in our lives? There's a lot of moments that we made a decision, we started doing things differently, changing habits, changing our lives, and then it doesn't last long, or we do it and then we get tired and we stop, or we just forget about it at some point and we go back to the usual habits. Why is this happening? um, let's talk about the idea of willpower and how this idea of this, it's mainly a Western world idea of that I need to use my willpower and change the things in my life and focus on changing my habits and then do it no matter what, right? Keep doing it until it becomes a habit. And sometimes this might work. Most of the times it will not, and I will explain why. That's because with willpower and changing our habits and actions, we're changing the outside. We're changing what we're trying to do on the outside, but the inside, our core, is still synchronized in our old habits, still synchronized in what we used to do and how we did things, our perspective in the past, which means that the frequency of the inside will vibrate to the outside. The frequency of the outside is kind of more difficult to go and get into through us so that it becomes our core frequency, which means that at some point, the frequency of who we are and how things are going on the inside will radiate outside and we will go back into our old habits. Also, we need to think about that. In our everyday lives, there's a lot of things we do out of willpower. There's a lot of things we're forcing ourselves to do. Get up in the morning, get dressed, go to work, commute, go do things that work that maybe we don't enjoy, we don't like a lot. Talk to people that maybe we don't enjoy, but we have to do that. Like there's a lot of have tos, like we have to go shopping, we have to pay the bills, we have to. There's a lot of have tos and a lot of willpower that we need in our everyday lives. That if you want to do something new and change a habit that will create a positive impact into your life, if you try to use willpower again, you might not have any more willpower left in your everyday life. It might be too tiring, too difficult for you to do. It might be just that you are using your last drops of energy in order to do this thing. And the energy that you create out of forcing yourself to use more willpower is the need to use more willpower in your life. So how do we change that? By changing the inside. And how do we change the inside? Is by creating the awareness of why it's important for us to make those changes. Creating the awareness, understanding why we haven't done that yet, and how this has been keeping us safe, this has been keeping us in the same spaces. Hello. She wants to say hi. So creating the awareness of why we have adopted this specific way of doing things in that specific aspect of our lives, and why we want to change that, why it's important to change it, and then do the healing work that needs to be done in order to go deeper, change this programming within ourselves, change the frequency, change the vibration of our own internal self, so we can be more aligned to the outcome we want to achieve. So when the inner self gets aligned to the outcome we want to achieve, then the habits change like that. It's a lot easier. We don't need willpower. We're way more inspired. inspired, way more creative. So we get to understand what needs to be done in a more creative, fun way. So change is a lot easier than having to force ourselves every day to do things that they don't really feel that aligned to us. So yes, it's important to bring the change within ourselves in order for the outside to also change, and then habits, inspiration, creativity, fun will come in a lot easier and faster, and this will sustain us for longer. Of course, maybe sometimes we'll have to go back and understand why we have made those changes, talk to ourselves again, realign ourselves with the intention we have, the purpose we're serving, what we want to create in our lives, and then move forward again, or change, shift the actions to be even more aligned to what we want. Willpower is not sustainable, it will not last long, and usually it's not the way to make changes. Awareness and internal integration and recalibration of the energy is what helps us be sustainable in our changes in our lives. Try this instead of forcing yourself to do something you don't really vibe with, and see how this changes your perspective and your whole life.